Roger and Caitlin were burnt out, in debt, had zero experience running an online business. In just 4 months, they went from zero to $200,000 a month in revenue. No fancy funnel, no list, no team, just the right strategy, script, and $2,000 in boosted posts. Let me show you how. So first and foremost, understand that they were physical therapists. I believe they had their practice in Connecticut, and there's two issues usually with physical therapy. Number one is the physical therapist is not actually good at helping clients get out of pain, so they can't keep the clients coming back. Number two is they don't have a consistent lead generation strategy. So with them, they had that, but they were trying to scale. So they already had that part down. Now, they first off paid me $1,500 to have a one-on-one call with me in person. It wasn't a call, it was an in-person session. And during that, they told me about their plans to franchise their model. And they said, hey, we want to, show these franchisees how to get leads, how to fulfill the service, so on and so forth. And I guess over those 2 hours, I convinced them not to do it because I said, hey, it is very high risk, very low reward. There's other things you guys could do. And so instead they said, hey, let us pay you, for one-on-one coaching. You coach us, not your team. And so they invested $98,000 with me to coach them one-on-one. Keep in mind, they have no business and they're in debt. So I'm like, hey, are you guys sure? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, great. So we start to move them online. Now, what was cool is they went $0 to $60,000 in just a single month with boosted posts. So I'm going to show you Brian on the screen right now. This is Roger's new IG. Now, you guys are going to wonder, why does this say gothy.eg? You guys got to go give him shit about this, because what happened is he had an account under his name, and then for some reason, Facebook banned it or Instagram banned it. So the first thing we had to do is get this back online. So they went $0 to $60,000 in just 3 days, and then their account got shut down. I felt really bad because they seem to just catch these bad breaks. So first and foremost, what I did is I gave them a copy of this sheet right here. And this is for my internal clients, but if you guys want to see the site, this is the actual site. So I've paid a lot of people for Instagram services over the years, and a lot of times it's trash. It's just not very good. You don't know if they're going to get it done. They overpromise. They're usually a middleman, so they'll know someone who works for Instagram, and you'll pay them, and then they send the money over, and they charge an extra fee, and so they don't have a lot of control. And so if you go to the site Swapped, you can come in here and say, Instagram account back. You'll come down here, it says IG shadow ban removal service. And this one's here, it's like, why work with me? FAQs, removal rate, it tells you how much it costs. And so what's cool is you can go on here and everyone has their prices that are super transparent, and you can find the person you feel the best with. They usually will put it in an escrow account. They then will deliver the service. So in their case, they got their account back. And then once they got their account back, the funds were sent off. I can't tell you how many times either I've been screwed over or a client's been screwed over paying someone because you're desperate, right? You're desperate to get it back. Someone who's kind of a middleman. So they, again, will upcharge a fee. Let's say they charge $5,000. They give $3,000 to the IG person. They keep $2,000 for themselves, which I don't necessarily care, except sometimes they won't actually do it. And then you're really screwed. So that's what they had to go through. And so for, I would say, about 30 days trying to get this figured out, they went from 0 to 60,000 and then went pretty much, not back to zero, but pretty much close back to zero, because their lead generation strategy was no longer working because their account got shut down. That's why he actually has this account. So the way it got fixed is the person they paid got them this account. It was an unused account, and they just put them on there because for some reason, every time they tried to start a new account, I believe Facebook and Instagram were just shutting them down. So they just were catching some bad breaks, and they use this. So right here, this is Roger, and it's gothy.eg. And the way that they then got this off the ground is they started boosting posts. Okay, so just so you guys know, when you boost a post, you won't see this here, but at the bottom of the post, if it's your post, it'll say boost posts, right? And so the numbers they got were pretty incredible. And they also will pay VAs $3 to $8 an hour. Now, you can get VAs from the Philippines. I'm not a huge fan of that, only because the time zone issue, it can work, but I usually like to get my VAs from the Caribbeans, right? So I can pay them, $8 an hour. They're super cheap. They still are close and in the same time zone. They have a good grasp of English, so I'll get them in Trinidad, Tobago, stuff like that. They took those VAs and they were starting to boost their posts. Now, the types of boosted posts you can do, you guys can go to their page and see what they're posting. And then one of these posts or multiple of them are the actual boosted posts. Okay. So depending on what it is. Now, I have either indirect posting or direct. Direct would be, I'm looking for 5 physical therapists who want to make another $30,000 a month in the next 30 days. Comment down below. And then that's very direct. So you get less volume, but you're going to get more people who are serious about your service. Indirect would be, hey, this is how you can grow your physical therapy practice. Check this out. And then you can message people off that. I usually will say be more direct, but you can test both. Okay. In their case, I would say they have very good sales ability. They have good business acumen. It was just moving from online. So they had a lot of those things that I wasn't having to teach them from day one because they had those sales skills. They had those marketing skills, made it a little bit easier for them. Now their boosted posts, just so you guys can see the numbers, they spent about $2,000. They had 21 calls, which is pretty crazy. It's under $100 per call. Usually in a B2B space, it could be up to $350. And then they closed 8. So 8 times 7 is about $56,000. That's just the first 30 days. It got even crazier. So once their account got shut down and they got it back up, they started putting on the gas, right? They started to go a lot faster. And so what they did from there is they increased the amounts they spend on boosted posts. So let's say you go from $2,000 a month to $4,000 a month. What's crazy about them is they're crazy. They're actually sometimes reckless. It makes me laugh. But they were spending about $1,000 a day once they got back. And I was like, guys, like that's, a huge jump. Like you guys are going massively bigger than you are before. It's about, a 15x jump. So they were spending a little bit more on boosted posts, but then what they did is they wanted to throw in a 5-day challenge. Now, 5-day challenges, they don't always work, but I think what makes this offer unique is there's a lot of business consultants and coaching for trainers. Like there's a lot, because I've actually done that. Like I still work with a lot of trainers, but there's not a lot of coaches or consultants for physical therapists, right? And there's just a smaller niche there. So I think that's part of what has helped them set themselves apart. So when they wanted to do the 5-day challenge, I'm going to take you inside their funnel. What you had right here is it's called Clinical Mastery Week. So what they did is they still boosted posts and they would say, hey, comment down below. Now, I told them not to do boosted posts at this point. I said, hey, if you guys are going to run it to a funnel, do DMs. So they had the boosted posts going. They kept those going. And then they added in DM ads. Now, when they got to this page, I'll show you the actual page on the screen. This was the opt-in page. Okay, so the system top clinicians around the world use to get results when no one else can. You put in your info, okay, and you register now. And once they register, you can see the dates right here was the challenge. So they registered, they have all these details, and then they also have a link to book a call. Okay, now during the challenge, they pitch on day one. All right. And it's hard for me to take you through the exact process, but they pitch on day one and then they're showing proof throughout and teaching how to build a better physical therapy practice. Okay. And there's just not a lot of people who are super specific for this. So the results, and they sent me the screenshot and they did $194,000. They sent me this like a day ago and it's July 16th. So they're going to have actually done over more than $200,000. I just want to make sure this video I was being truthful and I wasn't, inflating a number, but they will probably do, I don't know, like closer to $300,000 this month. And they've only been doing this for 4 months, which is crazy. Now, I will say part of what's made them successful is they work really hard. They don't make excuses. When their accounts got shut down, they could have quit and, cried and complained. They did the exact opposite. They take action really, really fast. So they'll ask me a question and the same day they're moving. And these are just traits I noticed in a lot of successful entrepreneurs. But imagine going from in debt, you're kind of out of options. You want to build a franchise model and then you switch from that to an online business and now they're printing cash and they're making, hundreds of thousands of dollars of profit a month. So let's say even at 50% margin, at the end of this month, they'll probably take home at least 150 grand minimum. Right. And their margins are probably a lot higher because their team is still pretty small right now. Like they only have VAs and them, and it's Roger and Caitlin. So there's really no one to spend the money with. They don't have any sales reps. It's a pretty miraculous type deal. So I guess there's a few things you could take away from this, and I want you to take away from this. Number one is have a good offer. If you have an offer that is either niche down, so there's not a lot of competition, or you have an offer that's unique, that's going to help set you apart. Number two is then you need to start building a lead generation strategy. And that's what they did with boosted posts. After that, they also were really good on sales calls and so forth. So I've done a ton of videos on sales. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time going over that here, but there's really 4 objections you're going to get through a sales call. It's price, spouse, time, like I need to think about it, and belief. Belief is just like, I'm really scared. They are really, really good at sales. That's really Roger. Roger takes the sales calls. And so that's really easy. And then on top of that, they have one-on-one support with me. So every time they were making a wrong decision, I could tell them, hey, stop doing this. And they quickly pivoted. In fact, when they were trying to scale, they were running boosted posts for their challenge. Now, if you don't have boosted posts work, the person will see the post and then they'll come to your profile and that's the end of it. What they needed is people to click the link and then go to that funnel that I showed you. And so once they shifted that and they were doing $1,000 a day to boosted posts, they shifted to that and they now started building up that challenge. And I think in the challenge they had 750 registrants or something like that. And again, they're still only halfway through the month and they've already done $200,000. They're halfway through the month. By the end of the month, I bet you they'll be closer to $300,000. So what I was trying to do in this video is just show you how someone can literally build a business very, very fast. The only thing I might have left out is obviously the pricing of their offer. So they charge $7,000 for 4 months. You can charge pretty much anything you want, because if you go through the proper objection handling, you can always lower the price on a call. You just can't raise it. So if I say, hey, it's 10,000, like, oh, you know, Tanner, I really want to do this. Like, I'll do anything. It's like, okay, well, the only way this will work then is if you do, you know, like XYZ, or like, how much cash do you have on hand? And then you can work that price out. But I can't say, hey, can you do 8,000? I can't do 8,000. Okay, how about 10,000? Like, it doesn't even make sense, because if they can't do 8,000, they're obviously not going to be able to do more. What was really cool for me to experience this, because I've coached a lot of people, is 1, their work ethic, 2, their shift, and then 3, how fast they're able to go. So I would say, in terms of clients I've had, this is one of the best results I've had in a 4-month window of going from 0 to basically, I bet by the end of the month, it'll be $300,000 a month. And it's really just having a good offer, a consistent lead generation strategy, and then being good at sales. And that's it. And if you can bring those 3 things to the table, it's really, really easy to win at a high level. So that's how Caitlin and Roger were able to go to $200,000 in just 4 months. If you want to see how I helped a single mom grow from 0 to over $120,000 in 2 months, click right here.